Welcome to another episode of the Alchemy of Hair Care podcast. I am so grateful for your presence. If this is your first time listening or watching the podcast, because we're on YouTube, and I also spent several hours getting everything onto the podcast apps. So welcome to all the new listeners. My name is Jocelyn Renee. And like I was saying, the internet, tends to think of me as their digital loctician. I invite you to call me your digital loctician as well. My goal is to help you cultivate healthy hair, because my vision, the end goal is elevating the standard of care and health and just beauty of hair, particularly locks, for people of color. So if I can do that, and if you are interested in that as well, or just joining me on the journey, I will welcome you. On the video side, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. On the audio side, make sure you download the podcast, follow the podcast, and leave a 5-star rating and review, because it's really, really helpful. Even if you just say, love listening, happy to be here, or maybe you say happy birthday, because I know you see this balloon here if you are watching the podcast, but if you're just listening, I have some number balloons that I low-key manifested because I saw all my Capricorn sisters and brothers posting their birthday photos with these number balloons. I didn't say anything to anybody. I was just like, I love that for them. That would be so nice. And then on my birthday, when I came home from the spa, spent the entire day at the spa, which is something you do when the first digit is 3. Never mind what's on the other side. But in the 3s and the 30s, highly, highly recommend spending the day at the spa. It's my experiences. My mind is just open to something completely different. But when I came home, my husband had got me some of these balloons, and I was just like, oh, my heart is so full. Thank you so much. So I appreciate all of the birthday love. And if for my birthday, if you missed it, if you could just leave me a 5-star rating and a review, a little comment that says, happy birthday, I love listening, I would truly appreciate it. Here on the podcast, we have a few different segments, pieces, parts to the show, all of which are intended to help you become your best self, because that is what I'm always striving to do. And being able to do that with you, it just makes it all the more better. So I'm more than happy to do that. One of the first segments on the show is our mirror moments, just opportunities for reflection. And when I share the book of the week with you towards the end of the episode, this question essentially comes from that book, which is, how are you responsible for your own unhappiness? When I was on my walk, I want to say it was like a few days ago, 2 days ago, I do a walk. I strive to do a walk every day outside, no matter the weather, it's really interesting. I think this is my second or third winter outside. For so long, I was like, oh my gosh, it's cold outside, I can't go. But I want to say it was like 2 years ago, maybe like 2 or 3 years ago. I was like, what if I did go outside when it was cold? What's going to happen? And traveling outside in the cold, it's such an invigorating feeling, at least for me. Clearly my birthday's in January, so I love the colder weather. But just being out there when it's quiet and cold, because things are not as busy, not as active like it is during the spring and the summertime, it just allows me, at least, to have deeper moments of thought and contemplation. And I've been listening to audiobooks sometimes in between podcast shows I listen to, and going back to this book, because I've read it physically and I've listened to it several times. As I'm coming through or going back on my solar return for my birthday, I'm always like, how can I reflect on, the past year? Really, I've been reflecting on the past decade and asking yourself the question, or just even thinking about how you're responsible for your own unhappiness. It it hit me like a ton of bricks because, well, not a ton of bricks. I wasn't that hurt, but it kind of punched me. It slapped me. It slapped me in the face a little bit. I was like, oh wait, okay, maybe you're onto something here. When they mentioned or they asked like, how are you responsible for your own unhappiness? It's in the context of the quote they said was, there are two types of happiness there are two types of happiness in the world: the happiness from doing what you like and the happiness from doing what you dislike. And I was like, wait, what? But when you think about it, a lot of times why we are unhappy has a lot to do with choosing the momentary or instant gratification. Like, I'm going to spend all day scrolling on social media because I like to see the stories. I like to see what people are doing. I'm curious. That feels happy. But when you finally put the phone down and you jump back into life or reality, it's like, dang, I was supposed to do the dishes. I needed to cook dinner for my kids or my family or myself. I needed to fold my clothes. I need to do my laundry. And it's like, dang, now I'm not happy because now I'm surrounded by mess. Now I got to figure out dinner. Now I have to not have clothes to wear. Like, it's a balance between the two. But at the same time, the true essence of it is that these experiences mean nothing. We attach what they mean. So it's like, I'm on social media and I could say, this makes me happy. I'm choosing for it to be happy. But then when I'm done and I see the laundry is just there. But then I attach, that didn't serve me. Now I'm mad at being on social media, and now the laundry is resistance, or the laundry is now another task I have to do. But do those things have to be true? Can they just be, I spend time on social media and there's laundry there? For me, when I thought about it like that, I'm just like, dang, I really am playing. I'm really a large part of the things that make me unhappy. And I'm not saying I'm perfect and I haven't fully figured it out, but it's just that approach, or just that stillness before labeling a moment, labeling an experience, labeling a thing, that if you can just detach, no, you know what? This it is what it is. You know how we always say it is what it is? Can it really be what it is, or do it have to be something more? So just something to think about. How are you responsible for your own unhappiness? Just something to ponder, right? You know, on your next walk or your next treadmill, your next bike exercise. Ooh, this girl just told me my locks smell good. And I was like, I am so glad that I sprayed the Pure Scalp on my hair after that workout, because sis, I'm out here smelling good and fresh, and I want that for you too. So make sure you head over to crownelements.com and grab you some Pure Scalp. Just locks just smelling fresh, scalp feeling good. Pure Scalp. Get you some. The other thing that I wanted to spend a little bit of time acknowledging in this episode, because I'm seeing a lot on, at least in my timeline, when it comes to either people combing out their locks, or I'm seeing a lot of people that I've been following for years, like, you know, just sharing their natural journeys and just their life experiences, honestly, returning back to relaxed hair, and or seeing conversations around the essence, I feel like, of Black hair care being robbed or it's absent. And so I wanted to just take a moment to really acknowledge some heritage highlights, is what we can call them. So I had to grab the pad for this one because I took some notes. I recently watched this movie on, I want to say it was on Amazon Prime, called Subjects of Desire. And if you've never seen it, highly recommend it. Maybe we'll do a watch party. Let me know if that's something you'll be interested in doing. If you're listening to the podcast, I put a link to the video podcast. Just comment on the video if you'd be interested in doing a watch party together. And if you're watching it right below this video on YouTube, definitely let me know if you'd be interested in doing it. But this movie, Subject of Desire, it was really exploring black being a black woman in essentially in America, but how our beauty is viewed and how aspects of our beauty or desire impact the way we see ourselves. Like that's what I took from it. And one of the things that really stood out for me was that they said in the 1920s, think about that, we are in the 2020s, but in the 1920s, so what is that, 100 years ago? 100 years ago, if you wore your hair natural, you were viewed as if you didn't love yourself. But if you relaxed your hair or straightened your hair, it was shown, it was a status. It was like if you straightened your hair, you loved yourself. It meant that you were no longer enslaved. Having relaxed hair was something of an empowerment. And we saw figures like Madam C.J. Walker coming into the culture with something that would help Black women specifically feel better about themselves. But then fast forward into the 1960s, so like 40 years later, if you wore your hair straight, it then meant you didn't love yourself because we have figures like Angela Davis and this movement of like returning back to Africa. And in the span of a lifetime, like half of a lifetime, honestly, 40 years, we saw this major shift. And then if you can fast forward another 40 years, because from the 1960s to the 2000s, it was, okay, we're going to have straight hair, but we're going to wear it natural. So we don't have a relaxer, but it's like naturally straight in a way. And so it's just like this pendulum that keeps swinging back and forth, back and forth. And it's like, I feel that society talks a lot about the cyclical nature, about how things go back and repeat themselves, because seeing kids and bell bottles now, I'm like, dang, like I'm now at that age where I could say, you know, back in my day. And it's like the things are repeating themselves. And I'll never forget when I worked for a major beauty brand, and this was at the height, I feel like, of natural hair. What year was it? My son was 2. So that was like around 2016-ish. 2014, 2016-ish time. Their conversation, mind you, this is the height of natural, like people is natural, okay? This YouTube is popping, everyone's doing tutorials, all the natural hairstyles, like that was the topic of conversation. But not here, not at that company. What they were doing in 2014 was preparing for 2024. They already knew. They're like, yeah, they're natural. We didn't plan for this. We didn't see this coming at this stage. So we're not even going to try to dive into this conversation fully. We're going to focus on that swing back, that pendulum, when everyone's like, all right, I'm sick of my natural hair. I don't want to do this no more. We're going to be positioned right there to have what they need to go back. But not just to go back, because you can't go back and say, you know what, I'm relaxing my hair, I'm going bone straight. No, no, no. Because they also understand the psychology of us and how the subjects of desire, how we view ourselves and how we stack ourselves up against other women or other people. So it's like, okay, I'm not relaxing. I'm texturizing. I'm softening. I'm relaxing I'm easing my curls or whatever language they're using. And why I'm saying this is because we have to get to a place of understanding how we are responsible, again, for our own unhappiness. Like labeling or deciding, my hair is bad, my hair is frustrating, this is too much work, all of these negative connotations that we can put on our hair, we can put on our skin, we can put on our bodies, when the reality is, it is what it is. Our hair is what it is. Our curls grow how they grow. Our locks look how they're going to look. Our body is a result of our own genetics. Stacking ourselves up against magazines, videos, pictures, social media, even like all of those accounts you follow for inspiration, ask yourself, is it inspiring you? Like when you look at these photos, do you say, oh, I like this on them, or they look great, or dang, could I do that? My hair doesn't do that. How did they do that? How did they like, are you asking yourself questions that affirm and empower you? Or are you asking yourself or putting things on yourself that take you further away from accepting who you are? It's just a thought, something I would encourage you to think about. Because for me, I had to. I had to stop following a lot of lock pages and channels because I'm just like, dang, I am really I'm measuring myself against something that could never be mine. Like, I can't be them, they can't be me. Like, I have to be me. That's the only way for me to have true happiness. Let me be me and you be you. So, as you are going out into the world, thank you for listening to today's episode. I do want to give you a care kit, something to take with you until we meet again and come back together. Because, as a true hair care professional, it's not enough for me to just do the thing or say the thing. I also have to help you maintain it and, take care of yourself while you're away. So when we come back, we're just, we're building on, right? That's what's important. So the book that I would highly recommend to either listen to or read, or both, because it's really good and you can play it with your kids, and it's really, really good, is the yamas and the niyamas. These are the ethical principles of yoga. As a yoga teacher, we had to read this, and it's just something like when I was reading it, I was sharing it with my friends, I was sharing it with my family. I was like, look, these are tools we need for life. Okay, so the yamas and the niyamas, definitely grab this book. And I would encourage you, as you are either exploring how you're responsible for your own unhappiness or just practicing Santosha, which is contentment. One of the practices for exploration that is even shared in the book is to think about on a daily basis. Maybe you journal about this, or maybe you just make it part of your morning ritual or nighttime ritual, is reflecting on what you are grateful for and gratitude. The quote directly from the book says, if the only prayer you say in your entire life is thank you, that would suffice. And my affirmation around this is, I'm grateful for all that I have and all that I am. Take that with you, add on to it, or leave it if it doesn't resonate. But as always, I am sending you peace, love, and good vibes.